two more bits of steel over here, and what happens is actually these guys are going to become a door. There's been two panels just screwed on, but we need to get access through to the filter and the salt chlorinator that's now in here, so we're making up some doors. I've just got this light pine, there's some framing, and we're just going to chop it. So basically what's going to happen in the space here, there's going to be two doors split down the middle, one opening this way, one opening that way. So we've got a hinge point here and a hinge point here. There was enough movement in this steel, I could move it along a couple. There was quite a bit of overlap, so I've brought it right to the edge of the timber here. So it's now nicely positioned, so it'll stay nice and flush. And the next bit of tin will come off the piece of frame right to here, then a butt hinge, and it will hinge out from there. So that's the first thing I've done, is move that along so that it's lining up so that board's not visible. It was visible by about a centimetre, about a third of an inch along there before. So what we're going to do, we've got this light framing timber, and we're going to make up some squares. So you're going to have to envisage that there's going to be a joining part in the middle where the two doors are going to close, and it's just going to be magnetic catches. They want it hidden as much as possible, so magnetic catches on the top. What's actually going to happen is I'm going to put a square, make a square like that, and then beside it a square like that, and then down here a square, or a rectangle it's going to be, and a rectangle there. And so there'll be one piece of iron on those two rectangles which will frame and swing here, and there'll be one piece of on the other side will be duplicated, and then when they close there'll be overlapping steel so that there's no visual here in the middle. So that's the plan. So first thing I'm going to do is knock up these squares and join them together, and then once we've got those in place, then we'll be screwing them onto the iron and then screwing on the hinges and catches, and hopefully it'll all go off really quickly and without a hitch. So there we go, I've got these corner braces put on, one in each corner, and I've put construction adhesive, liquid nails, maxi nails on each butt joint here. So what that does is instantly gives me a usable frame. That'll get a whole lot stronger, of course, as that glue dries, but so far as what we're going to have swinging in here, that's beautiful. And the steel is going to mount on both of those, one at the top, one at the bottom, down the bottom there, and therefore it'll become a door, nice and strong. I'm halfway through cutting the length of steel here, so I thought I'd put a little really super quick video up of how to cut a straight edge when you're cutting steel. I've got a death wheel there, or just a cut off blade on a grinder. Now because it's so small, there's no way you're going to get that to cut straight. If you look here, you'll see how that waves in and out if you look along the line there. Now I did have a go at cutting that straight, but I knew I was then going to cut it by hand. So what you do, you cut it really close to where you want to be with that, and then you cut it with a pair of tin snips. This metal won't cut with tin snips when you've got a big offcut. That's the size of the offcut over there. It simply won't fold up and get out of the way as you're trying to cut it. So you need to cut it, do a rough cut to start with. Doesn't matter if you get a wobbly line, as long as you don't go over your second scribe line. And then come back with the tin snips. I'm using Weiss brand. You're going to go down and buy tin snips, buy decent ones, because there's nothing like shoddy tin snips, and this curls the steel as it cuts it. There are flat tin snips, but they won't give you a good edge. Then you'll end up with a straight edge like that right on your scribed line. I've just used a straight edge and scribed the line along the steel, and again, to get it straight can even be hard. I use a level. You've got to see it sitting over there, because you can actually sit that in the corrugations, and that'll give you a beautiful straight edge which you can then scribe off. So there you go, that's the secret of how to cut steel straight. You cut it once with a blade. I've also got a circular saw here. You can probably have a go at cutting it straight with a circular saw. The longer the blade is, the bigger the width, the more chance you've got of going straight. But with a little cut off blade, it's almost impossible. This is going up on doors, so it needs to be a nice straight edge, and that can only be achieved with the tin snips. So there you go, cut twice, get yourself a perfect line. cutting the bottom off, I'm going to go for a different method. I've scribed it right across. This is easy with big corrugations. These are just little finger corrugations. What you do is you just drop the blade on your angle grinder here, like that. Just drop it vertically down on the top of these. So you're coming right down on the scribe each time, and then just get bigger and bigger and join them together. If you try and run, you will tend to run off and end up with a wobble. So just drop down on these. So the last step to fitting this is mount up the 4 little doors, and then the sheets of steel, and we screw it onto the front of those in pairs, and the steel will square up those frames, make them super strong, and the frames will give the steel something to swing on, so the whole lot will all bind up together. So we've got those hinges on there, and that one is now swinging nicely. Got your brackets there where we squared him up, and then inside that got your hinges where it's screwed in place. So looking good. We just do that 4 more times, 3 more times, and those doors will be swinging beautifully. Alright, so here we go. We have one on. Sun's almost down, but we have one door on, and here it is. And you can just swing him out. Which opens up. There's the framing. There's the piece of steel. You see now that the frame's attached to the steel, that's all nice and strong and hinging really, really well. So looking brilliant, doing the job, and it's going to make all of that disappear nicely. Okay, so one of the really key things when it comes to hanging a door and getting it to swing the way you want is that the door needs to be level and square. Now this one here, it's going to rake out this way out. There's nothing I can do about that, but I can get it level. This board here has just been whacked onto the side here, and it's a shocker. It's not level, it's not square, and it's weight supporting, so it's causing me a bit of a problem at the moment. Now I can put a square board beside it and then hinge off that, but what I've chosen to do is just cut a notch out of this that is square. So you can see down the side of the board there, I've cut that out, and the reason it's black is because I've done it with a little death wheel. It's just so tight in there, I can't get a circular saw in, so I've cut it off with that cutting wheel, and I'm actually using a metal cutting wheel because I've got it set up to cut this steel, and it's doing fine. It's smoking like crazy, but it's doing fine, chunking it out. Now if you look down here where I'm going to have to cut, that's how much I'm going to have to chunk out of that door in order to get the hinges here. They all have to line up with my design of the 2 frames. They can't be one line for the top 2 and then another line down here. They all have to line up. So I'm going to have to chunk that out as well. And I not only have to chunk out just where the hinge goes, because the door frame is going to have to come in to where that hinge goes as well. So I'm going to have to cut all of that out so that that frame can sit in there. So just a notch out of the corner, and structurally that'll be fine. It'll still be well and truly strong enough to hold the weight. And you can see I've chopped a bit out there where I started, but what actually happened, this door here was a little bit too big, and the frame that I'd made wouldn't close past here. So I've dug this back and this back in order to accommodate the frame, and now I'm going to have to bring all of that back to stay in line and to stay square. So this is what happens when the boards that you're working with are so far out of kilter. So if you have a look here at the bubble on the level from the hinge to the hinge, you see that's square. Doesn't look it in the corner there, it looks out for me. I'll put the camera square, but you see how not square that wall is, or that board is. You can see it just runs way off square. So I've used the spirit level, and don't try and do this without a spirit level. Pop down the shop and go and buy yourself one. Doesn't have to be super expensive. If you're looking at which spirit level to buy, just make sure that these are tight. If they're floppy and moving around and loose, then your spirit level's no good. And if there's a level place in the store, check both sides of your spirit level. You see that wall's at a level, as I said, turn it round It's out by half a bubble, and it needs to be out, where we go, it needs to be out by the same amount on both sides. And that's a way of checking if your spirit level's any good. Quarter bubble, quarter bubble. If it varies, it means this is in crooked. This one was a cheapie, and I did actually have to glue them in place, these here, and one of them's actually fallen out. I've lost it. That's the one that was on the 45-degree angle, but the vertical and this are still tight and in place. So there you go, that's the next job. I'm going to chop that out, notch it out, so we can put the hinge in there, and not only the hinge but also the frame is going to mount into there, so I'm going to notch that out, and then we'll be ready to mount the last door. Alright, so there we are now done. 2 doors complete and on with the double frames so that they go flush, and yeah, we'll close this up. On, I had magnetic catches, but they were not strong enough. They totally didn't do the job, so we've got clips on to hold it. Got one there and one on the frame down there, and this door overlaps, so it's flush. So again, so it looks the part there, and the little finger hole here, this is to open it. Again, they wanted it flush, no handles, no catches, so a little finger hole, you can come in onto the frame, pull that open, and go to the back of the frame on this one, and open there. So there it is, and flush and looking the part.